right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the live stream here for Monday, the 26th of August. It's almost the end of the day here in Melbourne, Australia, as you guys would say it. But of course, it's just the beginning in the best market in the world. And which market is that, guys? That's right. It's the US market. This week's huge because, of course, we have the only stock that matters giving us the earnings report, Nvidia. Yeah, so Nvidia it's coming out. It's going to be hundreds of billions of dollars of potential move. And of course, as we mentioned in our weekend special video where we talked about it, we believe that it's probably going to make or break this market to an all-time high and basically make or break really how we feel about sentiment into the rate cut. Plus minus 12% on the options market. Be careful if you're buying calls or puts before the event, because even if it whiffs, especially if it's only a few percentage moves, remember what happens to your option then is you're going to get degradation of the option. So you're going to get a huge loss on your call and put options. And I'm sure a few people have been bitten by that a few times in earnings. Anyone here in the chat ever had that mistake happen to them? I'll put my hand up. A long time ago, I didn't realize that implied vol coming into an earnings event would cost me so dearly. But this year, it's been even worse because, of course, the implied vol on every earnings is more and more wild. How do we feel about Nvidia? Well, I always go back to one number, and that one number is $100 trillion. That was the amount of money in CEO Money Plus that was there this year when it came to the market and the event they had. So that tells you all you really need to know about demand. Demand is high. Every single thing they could possibly make under the sun, I'm sure every CEO in America wants right now. And that will probably remain the same for this current AI bubble cycle. Investigator says you got to sell the optimism. Fair enough. But, follow the trend as well is pretty good here. Sleeping on KSS here from John. Interesting. And then we've got Adam saying Nvidia, Canadian market. Okay. I'm not sure about that one. Holy beep. Nvidia is 12% expected. Absolutely. It's going to be pretty wild. And it's chewy, is it? Chewy's going to move a little bit as well. So just remember there's a bit of vol coming this week. Obviously, we still are in earnings season, but this is the main one. So let's talk gold here just because we're seeing a breakout in a few metals and a few commodities. Then we'll go through stocks as we always do together. Then we're going to go through, of course, a bit of crypto crap because we love crypto crap too. Sorry if you love crypto a lot, but we love crypto. We love Bitcoin. We love Ethereum. We love Solana. We like DOT a little bit. And then we don't really know. I mean, Doge is bad. So it's good if you like a bit of a gamble, but not great if you want to hodl that beast all the time. Maybe you do. Anyone here love Doge? I'm sure someone loves SHIB and Doge in the chat. Let me know if you do. But let's be real. Sometimes it's a bit trash. Already got 800 of you coming in, so thank you very much for the thumbs up if you enjoy the content. But let's get stuck into it. I want to do a bit of quick fire through some of these pairs. So first up, gold breaking out. Again, nice move for it. Obviously, silver doing a little bit better as a percentage. Still favoring silver over gold at this stage because, of course, this is a big deal in terms of silver is so far behind gold and it pulled back more and it has a better kind of base buy. So while I'm obviously incredibly bullish on gold, I do think silver has a pretty good runway here to 31.50 an ounce. And obviously I'm looking for 34.50 over the next couple of months, ideally. So that's pretty strong. Another one that we saw do okay today in the session was the Chinese stocks. They came out pretty strong, 17.8. Again, we've been bullish on these last pretty much week since we saw this one over here at 17.4 on Friday, the 16th of August. And it may not seem like much, but if you actually took that close, then you're up about 2.15%. It's not too bad considering the risk reward. And obviously that's really what you're interested in. Replication, risk reward, good stuff. Let's move over to oil. Absolute ripper. So I said break above 74.34 was bullish, but this thing's coming back big time. And oil certainly got to a worrying zone. Getting back down into the 72s, not exactly great. Taking a new low. Obviously, that's that could be a trap. But the way it's coming through, very ferocious move here on oil. We originally thought we might see a bounce here, but we didn't see anything. And then it hasn't shown change of trend till 74.34. So, yeah, if anyone got on this, anyone on the bull wagon of oil, I mean, it seems to be going quite nicely. I would be careful on oil this year because it is a political trade. So you've got to remember there's all sorts of powerful political forces in play. But one thing I did notice before we start the stream is if you run a quick trend line through, let's say, these last three peak highs, you'll see today's close will be quite important, particularly for UK oil, which also had the same breach breakout, but a key level all the same for us to look at. Just a quick reminder as well, if anyone's in Sydney this week, make sure to make it out to the Financial Magnates Conference. You can check out the pinned link or the link in the description, I think, for our weekend video. And I just quickly posted a link in there. So basically, I'll be talking on Thursday. Come along if you're interested. I think it's free to attend. There'll be a few thousand finance peeps there, so that'll be pretty cool. So come and say hello. All right, let's keep going. So US oil looks strong for now. There's not really any reason for us to say it's going to go weak at any point yet. Pullbacks you'd have to think are being met by bull demand at this stage, and you're going to have problems around 82 on the UK barrels, and on the US oil barrels, you're probably going to struggle around 78 a barrel. So be careful at 78. We're getting up there. I don't know if I would join the bandwagon at this point. I would probably say if I wasn't on it, if I didn't take the close as a partial entry, then I would wait and try to get a better risk reward position. But that's, of course, completely up to you guys. Be interested in knowing a couple of questions as well. If you've got a really cool question, you think it's excellent and interesting and thought provoking for maybe some of the members here in the community, and you think it's going to help a lot of people with that answer, I'm more than happy to go through a few of those today. We had some great questions in our Monday macro today that we do for our private group, free 7-day trial. But yeah, I thought there's been some good questions recently. So I'm going to start doing like a comment of the day from you guys in the daily videos, and I'll post that through YouTube and probably some of the socials. I'll probably do it like maybe 3 times a week. So if you do post comment sections, and I think they're really awesome, I do read a lot of you guys' comments, then I'll pop it in there. And yeah, sometimes you guys have some amazing insights. So it's really good. Cool to see the community becoming so big-brained, such as you are. All right, so Tesla, let's just quickly go here before we go S&P 500. Interesting 220 inside candle here. Still not 232, which is the res, still stuck kind of in the middle of nowhere land. And I think the problem this week is going to be the S&P and Nasdaq more so than the Russell 2000. So you can see the Russell actually has almost hit our target, and it's getting up there in the 2250. But what this kind of shows me is if we're getting, let's say, gold moving out. Remember, the oldest currency in the world, guys, is gold. Then the second thing is we've got oil breaking out. We seem to have copper showing relative strength, and we've got yields kind of up, down, and all around. What that's telling us is that in some ways it looks like maybe the oversell of metals is kind of starting to get the turn on it. Market is saying, you know what? Yeah, we'll buy small caps. We'll buy 493 and then on stocks, but we're not going to buy the overbought stocks until we see Nvidia's earnings result. It seems to me that we're waiting for that, but I'd be interested to know your opinion in the chat. Do you think the market is waiting for Nvidia, considering that we have, remember, US 500 at the res of the highs, so it's right around this zone of chop. Then we've got the Nasdaq at the gap fill of the Qs, because you can remember this is the gap fill, again in chop. Then we've got the Dow. Well, do we care about the Dow anymore, chat? Does anyone actually care about the Dow? Who loves the Dow? I don't know. Not that many people seem to care about the Dow. And then, of course, we have Nvidia at the most important level for it, the 130. Let's just quickly review 130 for a moment here. This week, expiration 130. I'm pretty sure this giant green block here is a massive amount of calls. So we know that is probably in Wall Street's best interest to potentially keep it underneath that. Obviously, earnings could push it through if it's good. But yeah, 130 is a huge level. So if it does get through there, what's it going to make? Positive gamma. It's going to start flowing up. And that's probably going to be, I think, the catalyst. Let's see what you guys said about earnings and Nvidia. It looks like no one cares about the Dow. Yeah. I always see everybody, what's Rip Joe Rogan, Ash? It's just like one of those things where it's like in the poker community, everyone said rip, was it Doyle or Brunson? Anyone from poker? I remember back in the day, that's what everyone used to say. Now, unfortunately, it is Rip Doyle Brunson, but that was a comment that used to always be there. Everyone waiting for Nvidia. I'm out of all tech and I'm waiting. Cool. If you're a trader, that's interesting. XX saying some explicit things about the I was going to say illicit things, but anyway, explicit things about the Dow. He hates the Dow, it seems. Risk off. Last time gold broke out, ran up for 11 years. 11 years. Was it that long? When was the breakout? 2003, I guess you're going to say then. 2003 to 2003? It was only 2011. You reckon it was around? I don't remember it going 11 years, but yeah, gold definitely doing a good time here. Is there still more upside for Bitcoin in the 4-year cycle? I think the cycle is dead, but that doesn't mean that I think the Bitcoin is not going to start flying up. I do think it's doing quite well. Scobia says Texas Dolly, that's the one. Doyle's Rip, the grandfather of poker. Yeah, absolutely. I remember watching back in the day when it was on Australian TV when I was at high school. And yeah, everyone, I don't know, we played random poker in the, yeah, we got banned doing it. But anyway, I'm sure you guys all, I can't remember if we were allowed to do that, but I remember it turned into a gamble fest and everyone was like basically playing with every cash, every dollar they had. Let's just say I did all right. I did clean house at the school, and I remember I had to give money back because I got yelled at. What's going on here? Why do you think the BTC cycle is dead? I just think that the cycle is obviously well known. You know, I used the cycle in 17 and 20. I think that it's not dead. It's obviously still around but you've got to remember it will not look the same anymore. And that's because it became such a phenomenon. I mean, cyclical Bitcoin investing, you've seen every large account get onto it since probably about 23, 24 this year. Specifically, they didn't have it. I mean, you look at the major Bitcoin accounts on X, you look at the major Bitcoin accounts. By the way, welcome everyone from X. You look at the major Bitcoin accounts from some of the other areas, they just didn't seem to have those systems up until probably about 22. I don't know if you guys agree, but I find that it's broken. Otherwise, you would have seen certain things occur already. We should be in massive alt season as of about 4 months ago. And of course, we didn't see that. The question then becomes, is Bitcoin going to be a September, a drop into September and then a rally from there? That's what traditionally has happened. Should snapper up some more BTC, says Ash. Yeah. Are you got to catch them all, Ash, by the way? Russell. Yeah, it's doing pretty well. So we like the Russell. Obviously, Nvidia is the stock to watch. There's no doubt that if this stuff starts to break out, especially if it gets past 135, we're probably looking at all-time highs. Well, we are. And then on top of that, we're going to be looking for really this to really ramp the markets. But I am a little concerned here. And I was saying this to the private group. It's not that I'm concerned about the multi-month. If we look at 2-3 months' time, of course, I'm very bullish. I'm just wondering what happens here for the next kind of couple of days. Yeah, and why I say this is because we do have a few gaps left behind. So if you think about it, if you load up a queue, so let's load up the queues together right now, and you can see here there are clearly 2 monstrous gaps left behind. Now, eventually they'll fill. That's just the nature of the markets. But we've also got, of course, the 2 SPY gaps here, which you'll notice through these levels. And we haven't had a pullback. Now, that's not to say you have to have a pullback. We don't. In fact, this little sideways action is often what we get at these points, what we call a pit, a pullback in time. But it is important that we start to see this kind of pit. So remember, we are net bullish. We are net very aggressive in terms of the thought process of no recession just yet. And what we're looking for, remember this, guys, because this will be the biggest thing, I believe, over the next 6 to 12 months. We are looking for the celebration. And you know what celebration we want? I want to see people celebrating. Can anyone guess? What do we want to see people celebrating in the market? I want to see newspaper articles. I want to see Bloomberg. I want to see X. I want to see you guys on YouTube. I want to see celebration of one particular thing. Can anyone guess what it is? Alt's been BTFO'd lately. By the what does that mean? What are we doing here? Oh, you guys are smart. Soft landing. That's right. We are looking for the soft landing. We want everyone soft landing, no recession. We fix the economy. Things are fantastic. Woo, yeah. America, Australia. Do we even say Britain anymore? Britain, yeah. I don't know what's going on in the UK. I watched the news once the other day and it was like just a bunch of horrible things. That's why I don't watch the news on TV. It's just too depressing, man. It was like, oh, geez, what is going on over here? And then I turned it off and I went back into my finance world. So yeah, it's much easier being in the finance world than paying attention to whatever was going on in the world, according to the news anyway. Now remember, the news actually works on the same emotions the market does. And those two emotions are fear and greed. And realistically, the news loves one of them in particular. Oh, they love the fear. In fact, all politicians love the fear too. They work on these two emotions. They go, we need the greed or we need the fear. One of those two. Okay, which one can you use to make things work better for us? All right, so we'll continue on. We've got SPY sideways, we've got Nasdaq sideways, we've got Russell doing all right, which is to be made sense of. Let's have a look at Bitcoin because it did get a little breakout. It's a little hit 65, I think, or just close to 65. Yeah, that's actually a first TP if you were on the breakout. Obviously, last week we actually called the turning point live on the show, which you guys would remember, which was at 58.44. We liked that level. It looked pretty good. Can I see a bit of a pullback here? This is probably one of the better charts. I said this last week as well. Still like Bitcoin a lot. I do think it's going to 68K. I think if it gets past 68K, we are going, well, you guys would say the moon, but I would say all-time highs. So 68K, worthwhile marking out in your charts in if the future, if we get a breakout there, I think it's going to be quite strong. I could see it coming back, but you've got to remember there are a lot of things sitting here. Moving average ribbons, all floating around, 20, 50, 200, all sitting at 62. Traditional resistance becomes support. Many things around this kind of 65 to 61.5 zone. So this is certainly going to be a bit of a bull level for it. I don't know whether it can fall that much lower down to here before going up, but I think it's a strong breakout. It has all the trappings of a squeeze on it. It has all the trappings of getting a lot of retail traders in trouble. So that's going to be there. Unlimited Liquid says I'm in deep and I got no liquidity left. All right, the new normal. Yeah. Yeah, we definitely want that. There's legit volatility in the ZN. Went to cash all right now, waiting for the dump from the other half of the Japanese yen carry trade to unwind. Interesting idea there, Ben. Obviously, I would say difficult narrative there right now. Certainly not quite hard. I'm fearful of a liquidity crunch, to be honest. It's possible. But again, I don't think we need to be too concerned. I'll kind of give you my idea. All right. So market structure is going to be a big thing. Well, let's first have a look here at something I prepared earlier, which is called, yes, I do research for the show, guys. We research together. No, I'm always ready with anything. But anyway, we totally believe these numbers, yeah? Of course, Fannie Mae. You could never untrust Fannie Mae. This is what a great name, by the way. Let's have a look here. 2024, we believe the perfect economy is happening. 2025, look at the GDP. We're still going to be growing, guys. But on top of that, we're going to fix unemployment rate. It's going to be perfect. 4.4, 4.5. All right, it's a little bit dire. 4.6, 4.6, 4.6, 4.6. Perfect. Okay. Nothing's going to go bad. It's all good. We're going to cut rates to 3.8. So you got to remember, this is what the big banks are putting out, or the big kind of economic houses. They all looking at GDP growth. They're all looking at the 493 stocks improving. They're all looking at unemployment rate being a perfect soft landing. It's going to be fantastic. And, they're all looking for the Federal Reserve to get this thing right. Now, we all know better than that. It's going to be a hard landing. Eventually, it will be. But you'll find most YouTubers, most people on the internet are all either calling hard landing in the next 3 weeks, or they're calling soft landing. It's going to be glorious. I'm going to go in between both of them. And I'm going to say that I think it is at the moment looking glorious. And I think we're going to possibly go into one of the structures we've been talking about, which is this one here. Go check out this chart, FX Evolution on X. If you're on X, make sure to subscribe. And what we've got here is the no recession versus recession path. Now, this doesn't mean no recession. It means no recession generally over the next 12 months. So remember, the market kind of freaked out about, 3 weeks ago now. It had this weird freak out. And it turns out there are a lot of weird freakouts, it seems, that happen. Now, I'm not saying this is the exact same thing. Of course, it's not. But there seem to be a weird amount of freakouts in the no recession path. So if I had to guess right now, I would put us in the rate cut cycles of 1998 or 2018-19. Now, why is this important to state? Because it depends on the speed at which the Federal Reserve cuts for us, yeah? So if they cut too fast, we'll be panicked. We can go hide under the desk and we'll go, skittering off, and you probably need to think about the put side. But at this stage, I think they're going to do 25 basis points. They've alluded to as much. Jerome Powell's going to have to go and have a celebration lap. Everyone's going to be celebrating because remember, they are cutting rates in an environment which is slightly cooled from record unemployment numbers, very good unemployment numbers due to basically overemployment. Remember, they've been trying to engineer this backwards kind of economy to get rid of inflation. And now what they're doing is they're going to say, well, normal employment rates are 4.6 or 5 or whatever they're going to claim it as. So everything's going to be all good. And then it probably won't be. But market structure post the cut is going to be the most important. Don't forget this. The narrative doesn't really matter. It's what does the market say? Is the market saying I'm scared? Or is the market saying, ha ha, noobs, keep buying puts. You're getting suckered in. I'm going to squeeze the rubbish out of you and keep pushing up. Yeah. And if I had to guess, and we're going to put this into chat numerical order, we're going to say 1, for no recession over the next 12 months. 2, for recession over the next 12 months. Guys, I want to see your opinions. Let's see. Which one is it? Is it the glorious squeeze of destroying everybody that's trying to go short? Or is it the dumpster dive market up, down, and all around? Which one? 1 or 2? Let us see. We got a medium landing. That is absolute sitting in the middle there. We got 1. We got 2. 1, 2, 1. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2. Lots of 2s, actually. A lot of 2s. Oh, you guys you're dirty. You want this massive recession. Eric says, we're already in a recession, all caps. Agree with you on number 2. We're all going 1s and 2s, and someone's gone a 4. 1 to squeeze, then dump. That's an interesting one. 2. All right. So it seems to be actually about 50% of you are looking here at a potential crashamondo in terms of under 12 months. So obviously, the sentiment is kind of negative, and I get it. Like, there is a lot of weakness in terms of some of the things we're seeing. We're seeing commercial properties obviously dump. We're seeing, of course, weakness in the – actually, we didn't really see that much weakness in the retail sales, but we've got that sideways action in the consumer discretionary versus staples kind of component. But this is going to be one of the most important concepts because really you have to leave your narrative at the door. Like, I met someone on the weekend. And he's in property anyway. His brother's been indoctrinated into crypto. Guess which cryptos, guys? Can you guess which cryptos the indoctrination has occurred into? I couldn't believe it. It's a second time. Like, what is going on here with you crypto bros? And you just get your little slinky hands into these people. They have no idea about finance. They're like, I got a bank account. And it's like, yeah, well, you need to be in crypto, bro, because bank money is fiat, bro, fiat. Get out of fiat and get into the new fiat. Can you imagine what kind of trash this person is in? Can we imagine, guys? This is a baby party, and there are people there indoctrinated into the crypto sphere. And what crap crypto could they be in? Let's see if anyone in the chat knows. We know which one it is. It's not Bored Apes, but it could be Bored Apes. What are they worth? What's a Bored Apes worth? How many Ethereum's worth now? Are we at 70 Ethereums? Are we at 140 Ethereums? Are we at 10 Ethereums? I don't know what Bored Apes worth. It was XRP. And I said, do you have Bitcoin? No. I said, why do you have XRP? I've heard it's the next big coin. I said, Oh my God. It's undeniably ridiculous. I cannot believe XRP. I need to hire those people to promote the channel because honestly, XRP, you guys, the most powerful force in crypto, brainwashing. I love it. It's unbelievable. All right. So 50 basis points versus 25. Don't lose sight of this. I would say most people aren't talking about this. I don't know because I don't often check out everybody's stuff on the internet, but I'm assuming people aren't onto this that much. Maybe they are. Are they, guys? You guys watch other things, I'm sure. But 50 basis points under the desk, 25 basis points likely to be above the desk and saying, that's right, you guys are getting smashed by the bullish market for now. Yeah. So remember, market structure is going to be important. Keep watching that. Keep on the outlook. You must remember Wall Street at this stage, although they're probably wrong, because they always are wrong ultimately, or at least what they give us is wrong. They are currently in a process of saying GDP growth, Russell 2000 stocks, 493 other stocks that haven't gone up, RSP, that kind of thing. So that's what they are basically doing. And you can see it here represented in the current breakouts of the equal weight. So mid caps, equal weight, small caps, that's certainly where the strength is at this stage in the cutting cycle concept. And we'll see whether it can hold up. Obviously, some of my favorites at the moment, I've preferred like the Russell after we saw the initial rally of Nvidia to 130. That was just a very strong move. I do like China stocks. I do think that metals are really cheap. I mean, if we have a look here, just iron ore futures, I'm just going to show you this. I know no one needs to trade iron ore futures, by the way. That is a disaster. But if we go over here, we can see that iron ore is actually very low. And you might say, well, it can go lower, like the meme. But yeah, I mean, it can, but it'll be interesting to see how it comes off this base. So I am watching these charts and we'll talk about them in the future. Of course, I don't think it's necessarily bottomed off. I'm just watching because this is a very key point here. You can see for iron ore throughout 21, throughout 22, throughout 23 and 24 so far, and it has bought with it the bulls. So it's got nasty, nasty candle. But I am going to watch iron ore and certainly see this. David says it's Solana. No, it was XRP. You guys, absolute best marketeers in the world. Thanks, Tom. Where can institutions buy XRP? Oh, my goodness. I sold my XRP. Yeah. Naturally, XRP people are insane. I live in NC and the outskirts in redneck land. XRP goes strong with the military people. Is that true? Maybe these guys may know more than we don't know. Maybe they've talked to what is it, Area 51 or something? Is that right? Everyone who's still holding XRP is touting XRP to drive the prices up so they can get out. Look, they're marketing it. It's just not working, but they're marketing it. They're dumping into all these poor people at these low liquidity barbecues, and they seem to be getting stuck into it. God, oil, gas got me FOMOing hard right now, says Nima. We don't feel FOMO here on the channel. But anyway, so general consensus is, remember, banks think the market's good. The market structure is currently good. And if everyone wants a pullback, generally you don't get one. Now, that's just how the markets often work. Now, we obviously are rallying it to this point. I wouldn't be selling off my top end just yet. If you want to take a bit of profit here, why wouldn't you? I mean, it's a great price, but you got to be careful. We did see that little bit of weakness off Jackson Hole before. Then it came up. Then Jerome Powell went, whoa, and then it went down again. And now it's trying to squeeze up again. So to me, it kind of looks like this. I like gap fills better in terms of better price action, risk reward towards the upside. But I think watching this zone along with the all-time high, there's going to be a trade somewhere in here this week. And I think it could be quite nice. And I'm going to guess it's post Nvidia earnings. So don't feel FOMO. There's always another opportunity. Someone said to me, actually, I spoke to them, you might be here listening. And I thought it was a great comment. You guys tell me whether this was a big thing. Remember, 3 weeks ago, we saw the market crashing. Yeah. And it was fair enough crashing. It was getting smashed. And it was getting pretty fearful. And at this point, we obviously asked ourselves the question. You guys were saying, oh, the world's ending. And I said, 4 weeks ago, if I said to you, you could buy Nvidia at $92, you would have been sitting there saying, oh, I wish, of course, I'd sell my house and buy it. Oh, blah, blah, blah. These are what people would say. Yet now we're here and we're faced with a decision. Do we want Nvidia for $92 or do we not have the commitment and the temperament to go with it? Now, in this case, of course, some of you did end up buying Nvidia at $92 and now you've got a big smiley face. It's not so much that means, oh, yeah, every time it's fearful, go buy the dip. It's just that in that situation, that's what you call peak fear. And peak fear is very rare. But that is a VIX 65, VIX 80, those types of reads are peak fear. The VIX doesn't get to those levels very often. So you've got to remember that if you're ever faced with that scenario again, you've got what you really don't want to be doing is sitting there saying, I don't have a plan. What's my plan? Plan ahead so that if this market drops to the gaps, what are you going to do? If this market drops to a new all-time low, what are you going to do? Get your plan ready. I'm going to give you a plan that I set in place during the crash of the market back in 2020. I had a suspicion that we would fall, but what I didn't know is obviously how we would shut down the world and what it would be from. So remember that we got an uninversion of yield. We got many horrible signs in the markets. They look very cycly and nasty. And of course, I did have some timings on it. Now, it crashed and it got really nasty. And I thought, I can't buy the dip. I cannot buy this dip. It's down 35%. I can't buy it. So you know what I did? What instrument could I have used, do you think, to buy the dip without being freaked out? Or without actually paying a ton of money? What do you think it could be? Buy the V. That's right. We buy the V. We like to do that. I have no more liquidity because the rest went in during that drop. But you're unlimited liquid, bro. If you're unlimited, you got to have more liquidity. So more liquidity. Buy call spreads. You pay a lot for that because, of course, the IV would be out of the roof. Even though you're buying and selling, you still got to have a big one. Sell cash covered puts. Yeah, exactly. At that point, I cash covered a put. Now, it's very different from just going and selling puts. But yeah, the IV was so high, if you can believe it, was paying 17% for 3 months. It was obscene. I never seen it so high. But it turned out the market went up 23%. So I was net down 6 from that buy. But the point is, it would have been very difficult to buy the trigger in that market when you knew that the market had more to go if it wasn't for the Fed bazooka. So there needs to be a plan in place. You've got to have these plans. And I just think this is important because you're faced with the dilemma here. Is this the best place to buy the market? Does anyone actually think this is a great place to buy the market? Honestly. You buy the market here. Is that really a good decision? Now, is it better? I'm going to quiz you guys because that's what we're doing here. We're going to call this A candle, all right? This is a candle that breaks the high, all right? Is it better to buy A candle or to buy the candle that is inside this range at B candle? Which one actually is more likely to actually net you a profit? The A candle or the B candle? Alexei says A candle is better. A candle, B. Yeah, so it's better to buy the A candle. And the reason why, and you might say, well, the A candle's way higher at price, but at least then you've got confirmation that the market has said, you know what, stuff that high. I'm ready for a new all-time high. So that all-time high candle could give you the stop loss. You could put the stop loss underneath this range. You could say, okay, now we're going to trade momentum-based trades. Now we're going to trade big trades that are breaking out. Now Nvidia's gotten past the 130 and it's ready to go into positive gamma. You've just got to remember that different setups are going to be good. At this point, what do I know? I know the trend's up. I know we're at a res area. I know this is chopping or, potentially doing what we call a pit, a pullback in time. But we don't have an exceptionally good trade here. You might say, oh, it's great to buy and it's going to go up. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not the best area. And you've just got to remember that because risk reward is very, very important. What about C candle that touches the all-time high? Well, I don't like that one either. Fake out, I listen to Kramer only and do the opposite. It could be a fake out, but yes, it's unlikely. Hey, I reckon you should just be listening to Kathy Wood based on my little image, my little video the other day on X, because I think she's worse than Kramer in terms of overall purchasing. I actually think Kramer would beat her. What do you think? Do you reckon Kramer's portfolio would beat Kathy Wood's portfolio last 5 years? What do you think? Kramer wins or Kathy wins? I think the chat will pick this correctly. What do you think? Kathy or Kramer? All right, let's go through some more stocks. So last week we talked about, of course, the resurgence of crap stocks like Crowd. We're getting around that 260, 265 area. So they obviously held their own and chopped around. We had Intel, which started pretty strongly, had a good first session, then came back and then kind of went bouncing and stuff. Now, you might say, well, what do you think of Intel now? I'm not very happy with what it did. So, I mean, personally, I got broken even on this trade. Obviously, I bought it through here and I got stopped out. I was looking for this. I want mean reversion. I don't think it can't get to mean reversion, but you got to remember when you have a system, when you have a replicable concept like I used on SMCI, like I used on Crowd, like I used on this, they've all got to be the same because you need to get those reps in. So in this case, it just didn't do what I hoped it would do. Some of you messaged and said, oh, I had a great day on Intel. It was glorious. And it went up like 3.5% and stuff. Yeah, that's fine if you went for the momentum of that next session. But obviously to get back down here, not the best. It now has the possibility of cleaning the low. So you got to remember, you are buying a horror stock. It's a horror stock. And you're looking for that V-shape, quick mean reversion. If you don't get that, then it's not going to be too good. What are some other stocks that are starting to look better? Well, I did notice that uranium started to break back up, but not obviously break out yet. We've seen strength in Hood. We've seen strength in a few other hypergrowth stocks. So obviously a few of those broke out. One in interest is PayPal, which managed to actually breach a level last week. And a few people were on this for that first big run now. And it'd be interesting to see whether this can hold up this week because that was a great weekly close for it. The first major weekly close other than this one to really get through these highs. Now, the problem for PayPal is there's calls all over it at this point. So if it busts through some of these zones like 72, 73, because there are calls there, it could start to run and actually get some fire behind it. But is it a trash stock? In my opinion, yes, it is. It's just, again, these are the types of stocks that get money into them. Another one of interest is, of course, what's going on with AMD, because we've seen some pretty nice strength coming out of AMD in recent weeks, and it's pulled back. Again, a lot of these stocks are kind of at these points of possible turn towards the downside. Someone says here, what about Nike? Ackman is in it. Yeah, so Nike has had some weakness in it a few times. 1 second now, just got a quick chat coming in. All right, I'm just getting a comment here from one of the viewers, and it says here, I guess I'll mention it. It'll be all right with this person. Just said, to your point on the live, everyone says they'll back the truck up and buy when volatility is at the all-time highs, baby. But very few do. I scaled in. I bought Nvidia at 100. I bought the VIX at 65. And over the next few days, while it stayed underneath and around $100. Congratulations. You are 30% richer. Well done. But in this case, you did it with replication. I know you, obviously. I'm not going to mention your name, but in this case, it just shows you that this person had a plan. They instigated it. Did they get the very low? No, but they were committed to the level because they built around it. I don't mind Nike in terms of the way that this storyline worked. I agree. Obviously, a breakout at through 75.50 was pretty strong. Nike got obliterated recently. It's also got an island reversal on it, which you can see here that presents itself on both. I think it's only actually on the daily, but presents itself on the daily very strongly. Weekly looks good. Look, you could do worse. This obviously relies on the American consumer improving. But this is a very strong rally that came through here. So really that price, if you get a gap fill, should bring with it further bullishness. So I'd probably say like you kind of want this price here, which is more like 78. But we'll set. Actually, I'll set an alert and see what happens. We'll see whether it comes down and gets a fill in it. Nike was better at 72. Yeah, we've spoken about before, Dave. Absolutely. Hey, Tom, best wishes from the UK. Bank holiday, so no trading. Can't stop you. Bank holidays can't stop you in this world. So, what are your thoughts on NCYT, which is like Novocyte, Mpox Test Kit Company? Monkeypox. Is that what you mean? Is that a thing? Oh, that's like the WHO claiming that monkeypox is coming for us, isn't it? The monkeypox. I don't like buying these companies. Now, why? I'll explain why. Well, firstly, you can kind of see why, yeah, because they go ridiculously high. They have these massive runs on them, and then they just get exploded. And it doesn't really, it happens all the time. So you've got to just be really, really careful. They tend to dump a lot. Now, at least this one's a base. So the fact that it's pulled back, it's pretty much more at around the right levels. But yeah, I would say be very, very careful with the way you trade these. You've got to trade them like a penny stock. Could you 5x your money? Yes. But you're going to have to realize it is a pump and it is always a dump. And this particular one, if I'm reading this right, is puny company. It's horrendously small. But yeah, anyway, thank you very much for the comment. K-Matt becoming a new member. Much appreciated, K-Matt. Appreciate that. Let's have a look at a couple of these stocks. So you're saying Amazon is risky. Amazon is at that kind of, you can see here, downward trend line level. Again, a lot of signs of gap fills, a lot of signs of res. This is what I'm getting at early on this week. I think a lot of the money flows in things like potentially crypto, in Chinese stocks, in oils, and metals and stuff. And the reason why I think it's there is because we're at these res highs. So that's big. Dan says, yes, all other channels are talking about it. What's that for, Dan, in terms of what's this? Nike Gas had sales every month. Take that what you will. I have no idea. K-Matt says, I learned a bunch. Thank you, Tom. No worries, man. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. And Stefan, thank you very much for gifting a FX Evolution membership to somebody. I don't know who got it, but Smart Money TV, Stefan, maybe. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, man. Jeremy says EOSE. Okay, interesting. And here in the UK, bank holiday holds no difference today except for the FTSE 100. Pretty much, that's right. And all right, so let's have a look here. So again, if you look at Amazon, the problem is, look at this res. I think we're going to get a lot of breakouts. If we get these breaks or these new highs, this is all significant. Amazon structure, look at it. Okay, pretty clear. Nvidia, we know where we're at. 130 call wall. We'll look at end phase in a moment. Don't worry. Let's have a look at Apple. Apple is obviously bulled up. But where is Apple? Well, it's again, I'm getting a lot of stop signs. I've got a lot of stop signs, guys. I'm just like, oh, I got to take a breather here and have a look at some other markets because we were super bullish. You guys know this. I've been bullish. I'm just taking a chill. I'm chilling because the only real stock, which is one of my pillars that's getting smoked at the moment and actually not holding as well as it should, is, of course, Google because of antitrust. Yeah, thank you very much, Stefan. So we've got here this rallying up. Look, antitrust, always a bit of a concern. I still think Google is very cheap on the metrics in comparison to the other big seven. But yeah, something to be considered. This is still behind where it should be. I mean, the equivalent to where it should be right now is here, about 183. Now, of course, we all know why, but this is the differential spread based on that news. So, plus also the UK is getting on top of it, and we know the UK will ensure that Google gets punished a little bit there for whatever they've been doing. Meta on this side, you can see that this is in a massive holding pattern, looking for breach out here. So again, another one at res. So you've got basically Apple kind of stop signing. You've got Amazon, res. You've got Google, okay, in the middle of nowhere. You got one of my other favorite stocks, obviously at res. Why? Downward trend line being tested from the bottom up. Again, these are just signs. I want to see breakouts from these points. Can you kind of get what I'm getting at here, guys, when you start looking at these big stocks? Can you see why you have to move to the flow, and the flow is in the other stocks? It's why I've been talking about the Russell more. It's why I've been talking about these other crappy things more. It's why I've been sitting there rabbiting on about silver for the last week and a half. Because when you think about it, you might hate those pairs. Who cares? Like someone said to me a few days ago, "Oh, Tom, I love gold like you do." Does anyone here actually think I love gold? I mean, yes, I talk about it every week, but do I really love gold? I mean, I like the color gold. It's kind of cool, I guess. But do I really love it? Nah, I don't love it. I don't really care. I mean, it's all right. If you stack gold at home and you like having it all over the shelf, fine. If you like big silver ingots everywhere, that's fine with me as well. But I could take it or leave it. It doesn't really matter to me. You cannot fall in love with your investments because then you become a delusional mad person. Are you a delusional mad person? I would like to think you're not. I mean, I'm looking at you. I don't think you got crazy red eyes. I don't think you've got crazy red eyes. Well, actually, one of you do. Oh, you need some sleep, bro. You know who it is. There's that one person, massive red eyes. But yeah, I mean, of course, at the moment, we love gold at this stage only because it is the right time, in my opinion, to own it. Why? Because of all the reasons that everyone hates it in the chat. It hasn't done anything for 10 years. Well, now it has over the last 6 months, but that's exactly why we do like it. Because when it's underperforming and you understand it's the oldest currency in the world, it does come back when we're in periods of instability, when we're in periods of currency wars, where we're in, potentially changing world orders, all these types of things is when gold shines. So that's the big thing. Unlimited Liquid says, I've got the red eyes. I knew it was you, bro. You're attracted by shiny things. We all are. I'm like one of those, what is it? Is it, I don't know. Is it a magpie in Australia? I can't remember what likes the shiny stuff. Is magpies like the shiny stuff, guys? I mean, I live here, but I still don't remember. Or was it crows? No, crows don't like shiny. Crows just like dead things and they just eat them. Aren't you a loot goblin? Could be. That is funny. Magpies love the shiny things. Yes. If you're not sure what a magpie is, when you're in Australia and you're around the wrong time, you walk down the street, you better watch out because we got a lot of dangerous animals out there for the Americans and Canadian and Asian viewers and people in Europe. And when you walk down these streets, guys, you got to watch out because you got to duck and weave because these birds, they come out of nowhere. They come out of the tree, they swoop you and they stab you in the head. I'm not kidding. You think I'm kidding? They literally they peck you into the head. So you got to be careful of the magpies. And if you ever see this sports team, it's got like a picture of a magpie, you got to be worried. Okay. Be worried because they might stab you. Anyone from Australia and Melbourne will know what I'm talking about. Too funny. Seagulls are worse. Absolutely. I hate gold stocks, but I hate fiat money the most. Fair enough. You Aussies are crazy. Anything is trying to kill you. That is probably true. Birds in Australia, no martial arts. Wow. We've got drop bears and we've got collywobble. All right. No worries. Thank you very much. Cheers for live stream. Cheers for everyone that's coming out today. Obviously, we're talking a bit about markets. I know it's a little flat here this morning. You might say, well, it's not flat, Tom. Oil's up big time. It is. We did mention it on our weekend video. It opened. We'll just show you where it opened. So you can see here that it's not a miracle. We said, and I have on this chart, break above is bullish. I didn't say is. Okay, I'll fix that. Is bullish. Okay, so break above is bullish. So, and I also had bull zone for oil. Okay, so realistically, I don't say, do anything in particular, but that was a good structure break. So if you're a crazy momentum trader, then of course, yeah, that's what you're looking for. Did I know it was going to go ballistic? No, my suspicion would be, yeah, maybe a little bit up or like that into this structure here. So I was obviously looking for around here to get further buys, but this is why you can practice scales. Do not feel FOMO, guys. It doesn't matter. Last 2 weeks, oil's been horrible. So you've got to remember it's all about timing. It's all about just finding the right replication area. So let's go to some others. We've got Enphase coming up. I want to see some good questions. If you've got questions about the macro environment, about random questions, I don't know, even an election question or anything. Although I don't want to get political, I'll answer the financial standpoint for all these systems. And I know, look, we've got to face it. We're coming into probably one of the most hotly contested elections. I got to be real. I'm riveted to it like it's Netflix in the US. I'm watching both sides of the media. Like when I say media, I mean online personalities. I got to say, it is so wild. You guys have the funniest and most insane politics of all time. I just like the amount of slinging that goes on. It's just compared to Australia, which is over in, I feel like 3 weeks. It is just it's a thing. It's a thing. I will also say that you have very crazy conventions. But I do not condone one thing, and that is picking shit on that kid. I do not like that. A lot of people I follow do, and I was like, bro, don't do it, man. It's not cool. All right, so 125, here we are, and that's totally against my morals. Yeah, as a dad, I say no to that shit. 125 is a pretty good breakout. So why is that? Because of course we're going through these highs, and this is also a bit of a pullback in time. So you obviously got a little bit of consolidation. You got a nice breakout there on Friday. Bit of a shame if you didn't pick it up. It's actually a good trade for the next session. Even if the market was probably flat, which it kind of is, this is actually a pretty good pickup because to get a breach like that after testing once, twice, and 3 times as a significant level break, this is key. So when you do that, when you break out after a bit of a pull, bit of a pit, that's usually a coil. The coil has got a little bit of energy behind it. It's less likely to be false in this particular breakout scenario. So it's good for the next kind of session. Now, you'll notice I've got this white line up here at about 133. That's because on the higher time frames, these solar stocks have been sitting for a long time. And if you think about it, this is a significant period. Like it's been sitting here since August of 23. So imagine that. Whoa, 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 whoa. So imagine if it can breach this level and close. And that's why I have alerts there, because the next level for me after this point, let's say you're in early here. If you're liking Enphase and you get through here, you might be smiley face, because at this point, there's not much stopping it between these two areas. So some very interesting stuff here for solar moving forward. There's no doubt there. Solar stocks and fuel cells, absolutely. And sorry to repeat, but regarding PayPal trend, Spider tweeted a chart showing quarterly revenue ending grinding consistently up while price has been grinding down. Any validity to this? This is the question. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there probably is validity. Look, I'm not here to say that I say the stock's crap because it's been sitting in the bin for a long time. You've got to remember it's a competitive space. PayPal's moat has dwindled. It's not ultimately very difficult to get into that pay sphere. Apple Pay, to me, I mean, how many of you guys use Apple Pay and Google Pay realistically? Let's get the chat vote up there and we'll see what's happening on here. All right, what are we going on here? So give your thoughts on most likely situation if anyone wins. Yeah, so this is the one I'm going to cop a lot over the next couple of months. And I'll give you my thought process. All right. So I always say the same thing. This is just because it is, a lot of people worry about the election from a market based perspective. Obviously, both candidates have some wild concepts. The one that everyone's freaking out at the moment is the unrealized capital gains tax. Firstly, I don't think that's going to be passed, even if it is one of the running concepts. All right, I just don't think it will be because I just don't think it's going to happen. A lot of people say a lot of things and it doesn't really come through. But the next thing is it really comes down to how close is the election. Remember, markets don't give a crap about anything when you don't have the fear. And the fear of the unknown is what freaks markets out. If you have a hamstrung parliament, so that is no red wave, no blue wave, the markets will continue to be quite good. Now, because in this case, we have, of course, neither party is technically incumbent, you will have a weakness next year as you kind of figure out what they're going to get through in terms of their new structures. There will be a weakness usually around Q2. So we'll talk about that post-election and into the election clearer. But realistically, no red wave, no blue wave, very unlikely to freak the market out. And the market is likely to be quite bullish either way, okay? Because there's no fear of the unknown. They know what to expect. They know to expect basically no changes. So you've got to remember that. This is actually just how the market works. And that's why when Trump won in 16, it's got to be one of the funniest trade days I've ever seen because the market freaked out. It freaked out. It went ballistic down. And this was in the Asian session. Now, I always watch the US, I kind of call it the US Olympics, the US political system politician day, because we actually streamed 2020 because realistically, when we're talking about elections, it can move the market. We might even do a stream this year if I feel bold enough. While I like to go in the middle. Yeah. So I like to be chill in the middle. But anyway, the way I think about it is when these election results become clear, markets sometimes have these weird freak out events that don't make any sense. Now, of course, we had to expect no significant changes, or if anything, of course, the potential of a tax cut on corporations, because that was obviously the huge play there. And the market just went like this during the session. And then it went boom. And the next session was up big time and it just rallied and rallied and rallied. So that was actually a very good trade day because when you know your stats and you know your politics in terms of the finance market, you do all right. So it could be interesting again this year, depending on how it plays out. But anyway, that's my opinion. Basically, no red, no blue wave, no cause for immediate concern on the markets. That being said, you will still have a weird, because there's no incumbent, realistically, in this case, at least how the markets will see it, because they're bringing a little bit of difference each time. Then you've got that Q2 issue, and you will also ultimately have to worry about a full wave, because a full wave will change and we'll have to adjust for that if it does occur. But anyway, who do I think is going to run the best policy? That's also a question I get asked. I think all of them are doing the same thing. I think in different ways, they are both money printing machines. I'm sorry, but that's the way I feel about it. You can agree or disagree. It's fine. I totally agree. I got no problems with that. But they are money printing machines because every politician is. They all like, oh, knee-jerk reaction. Let's fix it. Fix it, 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 fix it. Yeah, we fixed it, guys. And of course, what does that do? Well, it hurts Americans. It hurts everyone. It hurts, obviously, all of us because they do it in Australia too. They do it in the UK. They do it everywhere. All right. Legend J says, what are you guys going long today? I think a few people are probably trying to get the solars. All right. Bitcoin's going to 25 trillion next year. Yeah, I don't think so. I use the wallet function on my iPhone. I have a debit card from Coinbase, and I just use US dollar Cs for the purchase. Gain 5% while it sits. No issues. Very cool. All right, here we go, guys. We've got the market open. So let's have a look. We've got Enphase up about 2%. We'll answer a few of those other questions in a moment. Markets are pretty much flat. We're coming in with the Nasdaq flat here. Russell doing well at 0.7. We'll just quickly nick on over to Russell because, of course, that hit 2235, which is about 15 points away from our major res high that we had at 2250. So obviously, very good comeback here from the Russell. I got to say that's pretty happy. I loved it here. I hope. Did anyone get it over here? Obviously, we've been doing a lot of analysis on the Russell. This was behind the rest, so you could really get that flow. Did anyone actually do the flow move? Did anyone go from an S&P Nvidia style buy a few weeks ago, then pick up some silver, some weird US 2K, and some other stuff? I'd be very interested to see if you guys have been not so much following what we're doing, but obviously we've been looking at price action there as well. Loaf of bread at 2.3 trillion. Yep. Yes, bought the Russell IWM. Cool, Kevin. Very cool. Ding, 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 ding. Absolutely Aussie cobber. Been in silver for a while. Oh, that could be good or bad. Can you please go over Solana? Really appreciate your insights. Sure, Dan. We'll have a look at it in a moment. So markets are up. We'll look at the sectors as they rotate through in a couple of minutes. And also, we will go through a few things. I just want to read a couple of your comments because, of course, this is an important year. And it says here, what are you guys going long for? Okay, American elections are always close. They would have a monkey running and they would get 49.5%. Yeah, so in general, that's an interesting comment. But you are right. The problem with American politics or any politics in Western world is that all you have to do for either of the parties is to try to put up a candidate slightly better than the other one, instead of looking for the greatest candidates that America has. And remember, America has amazingly smart people. You know, you are the country of the smartest IQs in the world. I checked this out. Not the smartest average, because the average is, I think, ruled by the Asian countries now, but certainly the smartest top-end IQs. And I'm sure there's some amazingly smart people there. They could smash it for you. Google Pay here. If anything, I use Apple Pay. Apple Pay, time and easy. I have not. We use PayPal on the website as well because some people like it for our courses. But you're right. I'm telling you, my PayPal percentage rate is down. Probably 150%. No dice. So there's no jokes. So absolutely down fairly hard in terms of what you're looking at there. Looks like it's a day for mid caps. Let's have a look here. You can see the big caps are down. So this is the 493 that we've been talking about. Let's have a look at RSP just so you can see here breakout of RSP. So mid caps are the ones that are sending it through. Apple Pay, pretty much. It's all about the moat. Yes, that's right. Apple Pay daily. Everyone's using the Apple Pay and there. Yeah. All right. So anyway, those ones. I'm a trading demigod, Tom, according to Stefan. Yep. Thank you very much. Check Roku broke your 67 level. Oh, did I get an alert for that just then? Let's have a look. When was this? Maybe that was one of the ones that I missed. Oh yeah, it did break the 67 level. Yeah, I can't hate the Roku guys. I mean, I dislike this stock a lot, but that's a significant breakout on Friday. That's probably one of the alerts I did get. This is an important break because, as you can see here, if you look at the weekly, this is a huge structure base. And effectively, Roku, I mean, if that actually is going to fly, it's going to go back to 90. But you'll notice that even the most disliked fund, even one of the worst funds in the world, this is where the money's going. I mean, money has been flowing in here for the recovery, but you'll notice that it's actually just the same price as it was. So you got to remember, you can look at this two ways. You could say, oh, well, I've missed the bottom. Well, yeah, you might have missed the low, but you've also got to remember that all of these stocks got beaten down. I mean, the classic one was Hood for me. I was quite bullish on Hood and I liked the stock. And I thought, damn, this stock is going quite well. Got some nice positions around in here. Rallied them, broke even a few of them. Got dumped and then, of course, got under road here, just like coin, and then it bounced back up. And when it bounced back up, it was signed to me to, of course, realize, oh, okay, that was an absolute flush. The same thing happened on coin. The same thing happened on all of these hyper growth stocks. So there are even some terrible ones like Snow that have gotten even worse than that. And Snow, this was actually one brought up in our macro group. People were saying, is it low enough? And I said, "Ugh, it's like it's like one of those gambler stocks that you really don't want to look at because you know it's at a pretty good price here. You know it's swept the lows. You know it's got some volume behind it. You know the earnings is out. So I guess the risk is dissipated, has kind of gone down a little bit. It's actually not the worst level I've ever seen for this. But you know, it's obviously a speculative stock at this point. So you've got to remember what is it? You're not going to fall in love with it, and you're certainly going to have to pay attention fairly closely to getting it back above these highs because you need it above the 20 moving average. So I'll set an alert and see if that ever happens. But yeah, very interesting swing low. So, all right, let's have a look at the market sectors that are coming through. Again, I would call it a flattish day, driven mostly by metals, oil, and that's really it. PDD is getting destroyed. That's Pin Duo Duo for anyone that doesn't know, I think. And it is down 106, down 24%. Just taking the Chinese tech stock combos here down fairly hard. I don't know if it's HSI trading here. HSI won't. Oh, this is closed, but yeah, PDD is getting absolutely decimated. You're not wrong. So this sells, if I remember, toilet paper and many other things. Canadian lumber stocks are potentially setting up after years of horror. Yeah, lumber's down very, very low here. If BTC breaks all-time high coming soon, Imo, what would be your TP zone? Yeah, I've thought about it a little bit. I think just sub 100. It's either going to just go sub 100, like 97K, or it's going to go blitz 100 and go like 105, 108, something like that. Is it too late to buy gold? Oh, I mean, I think it's going to 3,000 an ounce. I'll give you a chart. You want to see a chart, man? You want to see the best chart out there at the moment on gold? Not that one. This one here. This is gold. There we go. You can do some study for a second. Basically, to me, you know, gold is obviously got some pretty good potential. I don't think it's got this kind of potential, by the way. To me, it's kind of got this, you know, maybe a 4K topping. I obviously have said 3K for ages. I'm probably not the only one to say 3K, but certainly the only one that hasn't been talking about gold 15 years. And why is that? Because everyone else has been going on about gold 7,000 and stuff since I got into investment, actually. I feel like when I was trading in 07, the same people that were crapping on about gold have been crapping on, and I mean absolutely berating people about it since 2006, 2007. And look, they were right for about 3-4 years, and then they've just been horrendously wrong. They've been like Burry calling the market crash on Twitter every single time and then running away and then coming back. Are your 20-day, 50 days SMAs or EMAs? Generally EMA for 20 and 50 and SMA for the 200. You've got to think about it as simple moving average just basically means no weight on the most recent candles. Therefore, EMA is a little bit more weight on the most recent candles, keeps it a little bit more honest to the current price action. What about Dr. Copper? Dr. Copper's right at res, man, in terms of this. Why waste time with gold when you can buy BTC? Yeah, it's a question I get a lot. It's got to do with Sharpe ratio. So you've got to remember you're not considering money in market. So look, the problem with crypto people is that okay, you have, let's say, $3 million. Are you really going to put $1 million into Bitcoin? Jace, I asked this to you, Jace, and I want to see your response. Are you going to put 1 million of your $3 million into Bitcoin and sleep well at night? Now, what if I said you had to put 2 million of that 3 million into Bitcoin? It's going to be a bit of a struggle, I think, for you. Now, at $10,000 or at $20,000 or at $50,000, you might be able to afford to let it, of course, go up, down, all around. Now, at a $3 million portfolio, could you easily hold 500,000 Bitcoin? Yeah, maybe 250, maybe 400. But you've got to think about Sharpe ratio. So when you're considering risk to reward, Bitcoin like this, 30% gone, gold not going to drop 30% that quickly generally. So you do need to realize that, yes, you might get less percentage reward from gold, even though it's done very nicely this year compared to Bitcoin this year anyway. But yeah, it's all about Sharpe ratio. So if you're not familiar with Sharpe ratio, look it up. It's going to help you out a lot. And when you start to get bigger money, you will think about, I don't want to lose all my money. And frankly, an asset class that goes down notoriously 80% several times over the last kind of like 10 years, that's not the asset class that you want to buy at the wrong time. So you want to know what you're doing. You want to stack it when it's worthwhile stacking. Whereas with gold, you can kind of afford to hold it through a bit of a world carnage, because although it will drop with the world, it tends to have a really good bounce back. You got to remember, gold is the oldest currency. So although you might say, well, it's trash at 20% per year, I would say it's pretty good considering the Sharpe ratio on the metal. Okay. Whereas silver is like the crazy version of gold. So you're going to see like 20% on silver ain't 20% on gold. Let's just say that. Sharpe ratio, look it up. Yeah. Thank you very much for your comment. So you just need to remember that. And I would not put 1.5 million of my 3 million into Bitcoin. But I don't have the BTC fundamentals for it. You know what I mean? Now I know some people can hodl it all day long, usually ones that have it at the beginning, but you've got to know what you're holding. And I'm willing to hold quite a lot, but I'm not willing to hold, let's say, $1.5 million worth of it in that kind of portfolio. And it's just the way I am. I'm younger, so I'll take the high risk now. Tom, 3 million on BTC. Oh, very cool. Aussie Cobber, I think if you had 3 million, you'd be like, I'm not doing it. You wouldn't do it. Don't tell me this. It's not true. You reckon Jace would do it? I know he thinks he would, but I reckon if you give him 3 million right now, there's no way. Or he hasn't experienced the burn of his 3 million going down 80% yet. Aussie Cobber 71 gifted one FX Evolution membership. Much appreciated, man. Always appreciate you, Aussie. One day I'll come over to Adelaide. Been a while since I've been there. All right, let's have a look here at the move, and we'll go with the 1 day. I want you to be honest with yourself, truly honest. If you like, let's just say, like, okay, here's the question then, Jace. Did you stack all of your money into the market 3 weeks ago when Bitcoin hit 52 or whatever it was, 50K, 49K? Let's see. Oh, I crashed. Look, it's a Mac. All right, there we go. All right, XLE up 1.27. So as we suspected, it's a metals oil day. Here are the materials and the metals. Here is the energy. Bit of defensive, semis down. Most of the risk on kind of coming from just the small caps. So yeah, I would say it's a mixture day. It's neither here nor there. And that's what we suspect coming into Nvidia, 130, Nvidia. That's what we want to be looking at. And that's this week in a nutshell. This price here, the 130, 131 is fine. Just anything there. NEE Energy going to break a new high. I do like that stock. It's been doing pretty good. Old Nextra. Yeah, I'm a fan of utilities at the moment. And Nextra has been doing quite nicely. This was actually a massive winner back in the 2020 run, doing really nicely for an energy utility stock. And you can see here that the huge run it had over that winning period. Nice breakout at the moment. It does look like it's going to try to put pressure on these 88s. I am bullish on utilities, even though you might say, why would you be bullish on utilities? Because to me, all I need to see is these charts here. And if I see breakouts on XLU versus SPY, and which basically just means utilities is slightly beating SPY since Feb, which is when I basically said I like utilities more than I like the SPY. And I still like utilities more than SPY at this point. AMD breaking out, absolutely, it's there. I'm trying to build my portfolio so I can put almost half of it on BTC. Oh, okay. I would seriously suggest people place risk management in your portfolio and consider it. You've got to think Sharpe ratio. I mean, if you're willing, you just got to be aware of this. I do believe a hard landing is coming. We've talked about a long time here. We've obviously said timing is everything, and I think we've got to look for the signs. But when that hard landing comes, I want you to be very well aware of this. Bitcoin will lose 80% of its value. I'm not saying the stock market won't lose 50, but Bitcoin will lose 80% of its value. Just be warned, it's going to do it. That's how it always happens. Now, for now, we go with the glorious bull run. Let's go. But eventually it's going to do it. It always does, and it will again. And that's just the reality. Because when sentiment goes to it's going to get smoked. And that's just the way it is. Do not go in all one thing, especially crypto. Well, if you know what you're doing, sure, that's cool here. Christian said BTC is going down to 48K. I'd probably say 48K shouldn't happen. More likely, we would go to 42 if we went down that low, but interesting. Temporary top. I do see a lot of bears. You got to remember, a lot of people were bearish on Bitcoin last week when we were talking about a really cool level for it. So certainly there. Can you comment on silver chart? We looked at silver chart before. Looks pretty good. Obviously, still very bullish on silver. And we spoke about the idea of the 31.50 an ounce target as it runs up. And then, of course, 34.50, generally speaking. My dude, Sharp ratio of BTC is actually insane. Nothing comes near. Well, wow, you got to look at it when it's on. If you're looking which time though, and which time frame you're looking at from the whole history, I don't think that Sharp ratio for Bitcoin is that great. And risk reward, like it lost 80, came back. Again, time period will be important. I think in this, you've got to look at the perspective of we are now in an asset class that is more mature. So you can still drop 80 though. Let's give it a couple of comments here. Bitcoin never had 80% corrections, not even half that ever. The fuck? Not even half that. Well, if you have a correction here, this is 77.91%. Is it entirely possible Bitcoin rips to 200K? We'll do this as the last question because we're getting that as a general question here. What do you think Bitcoin's topping this let's call it cycle could be? What is Bitcoin's cycle top for this high? Give it to me. I'm just pointing out here, there have been serious corrections on crypto. I've been around the game for a while. I remember I made Bitcoin with my computer. Like I had 156 Bitcoins. No, it never went to 18K from 67K ever. I'm not quite understand why that matters. You mean, well, it went from 68 down to like whatever this is. Highlighting a number. All right, so 160 max, 100, 100, 190. I think it'll go higher. Infinity dollars. I don't think it's going to infinity. Remember, when you're trying to price out Bitcoin, it's important to always just consider one thing: market cap size. And you've got to always consider that. If someone's telling you, and they are literally telling you that it's going to go to $1 million a coin, I would not listen too much to them, because market cap size, especially in this cycle, market cap size matters. And if you're at 63,000, you're probably sitting at what, 1.5 trill. You've got to remember that you need to have, like, that means that 3 trill would be about 140, whatever. I'm just giving up numbers here, but you get what I'm saying. You got to think about the sizing. So that's basically Nvidia at that point. So is it actually possible that Bitcoin could hit 4 to 6 trill? It's possible, but that's probably your absolute ceiling this cycle. That would be your absolute ceiling. I just do not see it being able to get an asset bigger than that, considering the adoption of the ETF is not as some would expect it to be. Either way, very interesting and exciting times. We remain bullish on the pair for now, and we obviously remain bullish on the medium long for the market for now. And we like, of course, our metals. And today is all about energy, energy, energy. Remember, guys, Wednesday is Nvidia day. So, where is our Nvidia? Well, this is actually an interesting chart, but where's our Nvidia thing? Where are we here? So it's going to move plus minus 12% according to the options market. Remember, that is no guarantee. That's just what the options is charging you effectively in implied volatility. We've also got Chewy on Wednesday morning. Not too much before that, I guess, of major companies. Then we've got Crowd, which will be an interesting one just because, of course, what happened. Dell, a few of you guys mentioned it. Lulu will be also a pretty big move. And then we've got Salesforce as well, which even at a plus minus 7.5, these are just numbers that we have not seen in earnings. I mean, earnings are just wild. When you think about it, these moves like 300 billion. I mean, geez, you wouldn't have read about it a few years ago. And that's why you've got to expect the unexpected. Alta also coming out later on this week, which I know is a popular stock with a lot of you. All right, guys. So in terms of what we're looking at the moment, again, for now, yeah, we understand the oil is moving. Still bullish on silver. I'd like to see a pullback. We'll see. We've got sideways markets across 500, 100, and US 2K. And, US 2K is hitting res, but we've got these ones going sideways. Dow's up a little bit, and that's what it is. It's basically the 493 other businesses doing better, and you can see that when you see the red here and sideways action of the Mag 7 style stocks. You have a fantastic start to the week. I'll see a few of you hopefully in Sydney. And if you are around, remember it's Thursday. I'm doing the speech at the Financial Magnates Conference. Thank you very much for the great questions here. Tom, on a hard crash scenario, you suggested Bitcoin would tank. Question is, would it tank harder than the dollar under inflationary rescue policies? This is an interesting concept because you are valuing it against the fiat dollar, which is a fair value. So will it tank harder? Yeah, I think so. I think it will tank harder. Now, the question, Jim, is what happens after the tanking, though? Because remember, it's going to be Bitcoin. What happens in crypto and what happens generally is you get this illiquidity event, which just creates these monster flash crashes. So I think that you would see in a hard crash scenario something similar to what we saw during the pandemic, where we actually saw gold basically lose liquidity. And this time around, because of the function of the derivatives market inside of Bitcoin, it could get really nasty as well. Then I think post the crash, though, Bitcoin will come back super hard against the dollar. I mean, super hard, because you're right. I believe that basically Bitcoin will hold very well versus fiat along with gold. They'll both do pretty well, and silver. So it's an interesting concept. I mean, obviously it's guessing. I wouldn't. I could think of worse things to hold than Bitcoin into it, but I'm pretty sure it won't hold, because what happens, you got to remember who holds the main majority of Bitcoin. Well, actually, it's people that forgot their wallet numbers, but then it's also the big whales. Yeah, they're going to dump to get liquidity to buy into the bottom. Actually, Bitcoin has the best hodlers in the world, no doubt. So that's good. But it also has this kind of 20-30% trade volume that comes through retail traders, and they will freak out. And notoriously, what's going to happen is they're just going to need money to live. You got to remember, what is a recession? And a recession is it could be even a great recession, like a really bad one. And if that happens, it's going to be a really hard time for people. They're going to have to pull their crypto to live. So it's going to go pretty bad here. Chris says, go Dow, go. Super important. Dow is super important and relevant. So, yeah, is Fed going to print for sure? That's a guarantee. There's very few things that are guarantees in this world. I don't put guarantee on anything, but I'll guarantee one thing, and this is it. It is a pyramid scheme, the Fed, as are all central banks in the world. They have to print their way out of it. And unfortunately, what we are witnessing in front of our eyes, whether it's in 20 years, 30 years, or even 50 years, is the degradation of the US dollar as the reserve currency of the world. And at the moment, would you ever want to wish against or go against the American dollar? Absolutely not. And anyone that says, again, don't listen to anybody that says the US dollar will go bust first. No, it will not go bust first. The US dollar is the strongest dollar still and will always be. The Fed, I've estimated, can print well over 50 trill and get away with it. And that's disgusting, but they probably will be able to do it. But they have broken the system. We're totally all stuffed. It doesn't matter which country you work. Every country that has this monetary style system, remember, this was designed by a bunch of dudes in a room like 100 years ago plus. And they were like, hey, man. It's like, hey, what's up, dude? Hey, we're going to make this dollar. What's it worth? Oh, we'll make it back versus gold. Okay, dude. All right, what do we do then? I don't know. Oh, okay. Well, anyway, it's going to work, guys. Oh, good. Back versus gold. And now it isn't. And then they'll default and everything. If you don't believe it, there's actually a paper out there and you can get your hands on it. And it was written back in 2012. And it's about how all these central banks, they've actually been defaulting for a long time. Like, I didn't know this, but the UK defaulted several times on massive loans, especially around the wars. So we're probably going to try to inflate away the debt. There's no doubt that the Fed will print again, and they will print in absolute obscene quantities. But do not get it wrong. The Fed printing and the government printing are different things. Remember, when the government give out handouts to us, the people, that's inflation. When the Fed print, it's asset growth. So it generally goes into assets, or at least that's what it's been doing. But it must, to escape the Fed print system, it must be lent as one word. Can anyone guess what that word is in the chat? What is the word that means that it's going to be lent out? Oh, crap. I said it. But anyway, yeah, debt. So, yeah, basically, unfortunately, debt is the only, well, that's the only way it really escapes out the system. The kids who own crypto are very wealthy. I know one of them, and they are multi-millions of age 17. Yeah, I mean, of course, there are several incredibly rich crypto people. I know a couple, and they're very rich, but they also got in really early and they hodled the crap out of it or even forgot about what it is. And those guys, they won't sell. Yeah, I know. BTC top cycle 25, 26, then recession afterwards. Generally speaking, I would agree with you. And I think there was one other question we have with Sol, which is here. I know who you watch, by the way. Sol is, basically sitting about 160. So is this a decent level? Yeah, it's not too bad. You can see here that Sol took out the low. It's quite a strong structure, actually, for this coin. It's been very bullish, very resilient compared to the other cryptos. I wouldn't say it's like any type of breakout yet. Obviously, this is the breakout level to get us to the 185, 190 zone. But yeah, very strong. Been okay at res at the moment. Breaches out, goes towards here. And then if it gets through here, I think if it gets through here this time and closes, you'd be going new all-time highs. Okay, very good. Have a great week, guys. We'll see you on the closure stream to discuss what happens today. But again, it is going to be, in general, I think, Enphase is absolutely ripping on that breakout from last week. Congrats to anyone that's on that, by the way. But yeah, it's metals and weird stocks at the moment. And then I think we're going to be watching for our Nvidia on Wednesday. That's going to be the big deal. December 17 to December 18, Bitcoin was down 85%. Indeed. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Kathy Woods is the goodest investor over, according to CNBC. Oh, my goodness. They shouldn't even, the amount of money she's shreked on people is pretty extreme. I got soul, but I'm not in soul man. Cheers. All right, guys. You have a great week. Thank you very much. And Fed already late. I don't think they're late just yet, but we'll see. Like, as in, like, they are late, but We won't see it just yet in this point. Government print numbers go up. Absolutely. All right. We'll see how it all plays out. And we will, of course, be hopefully in the right asset classes. Catch you guys. Let's go with caution on the S&P and Nasdaq for now. Russell 2000 basically at the first TP, and metals and oil and stuff finding some movements. But really, remember NVIDIA. Catch you for now. Thanks, guys.